So I've not been myself for a few weeks now. Don't know what it is, mental health and all that. I've tried various things to sort of try and cheer me up. Nothing seems to be happening. As a result, the project cars have suffered quite a bit in terms of actual progress. Now, the shuttle has been back from cage builders since mid-February, and I have literally not touched anything on this car since it's come back, and I really need to get on with some progress. So I've decided that even today I'm still not feeling myself, is I need to get in here and at least do some progress on the car. Now, my thought process is if I can get the driver's seat in and mounted so I can actually climb inside the car, sit down and make some brum noises, which will raise my motivation and means I can get balls deep back into building this awesome car. So that's exactly what we are going to do in today's video. That's where the 10mm went! So the most important thing you need when fitting a seat is the seat itself. Now this is the seat we are using. It is an STR Anglo seat. Now you can buy these from McGill Racing and it's all certified, etc. Now the reason I am using this particular seat rather than a seat you'd probably used to knowing is that this is one of the only seats I can find which I fit in. A lot of seats that I've tested, I'm just physically too big for the seat, and this one is just the right size for a person of my body. So if you are 22 plus stone, 130 kilograms, etc., 40 plus waist, this is the seat that's probably going to be better suited for you, but this is the seat we are using. So with a bigger seat, that means the dimensions are bigger, of course. So I've just bolted the side mounts on here just so we can see how wide it is overall with the mounts. And at the top here, or the back of the seat, we've got 465mm, and at the front we've got 475mm, so it's 10mm wider the front of the chair than it is at the back of the chair. Let's just double check that again. 465, 475. So let's go to the car and see what space we've got to work with. So we're going to take a measurement from the narrowest part of the floor pan here. Now you probably can't see on the camera, let's put a bit of B-roll in, is that the tunnel comes down here and it sort of dips out and dips back in where the handbrake is. So I'm going to take a measurement here roughly in line with the handbrake. This part here is all pretty perpendicular, so we need 475mm, but let's give ourselves 10mm wiggle room either side, just so we've got a 10mm gap here, 10mm gap there. So we need 500mm of room to play with. So that's good news. It means I haven't got to cut in and make a relief for the seat to move it that way, because underneath here is the prop shaft. I also wanted to retain enough room to hopefully try and squeeze in a 3.5-inch exhaust system in the tunnel. So that's good news. So next step is pretty important. Currently in the driver's seat area, I've got a laser level. But before I commit to that laser level, I need to make sure that the overall chassis is level on my 2-post lift here. So I don't know how well you can see in the video, but I've got the laser level mostly in line with the steering column there, and I'm not sure if you can see, so the seat needs to come over to the right hand side by about 1.5 inches, but that's just the start of the problems. The seat is up against the B pillar here, and the seat is also way too high. So you know when I said that we didn't have to cut into the tunnel, we're going to have to cut into the tunnel. So we're underneath the shuttle now, and the issue we've got with having to bring the floor pan out is that the seat needs to go from about here to roughly about here. That's the area that we need to make a quite a substantial notch in the floor pan here. But as you can see, we have got the primary diff mount here. The viscous coupler sits here. Now luckily it's not really any any larger in diameter than this. So I think we can sort of come out to about here and across, and then we should be all good for clearance. So it is what it is. I need the seat to fit, so we're gonna have to get the grinder out. Okay, so we are starting to struggle for space now. I just can't get the seat over far enough. I really need to come out to about where my fingernail is here to get the required space that we need for the seat. As you can see, I've cut quite a lot of material out. Obviously, what I didn't want to do was move the locations. Obviously, these mounts here for the viscous and the prop, just to make life a bit easier. But then I thought, what do they do when they foil drive convert these when they don't have the captive bolts? And as luck would have it, a lot of companies have the solution. So we've got these by Innovate, and obviously there's a few companies which offer some beefier upgrades. I think what we're going to do is not panic about retaining these two mounting points, because what we'll probably end up doing is we'll probably end up picking both of these mounts off the chassis with a spot weld drill. They can go in the bin, and then we'll design our own brackets, our own new mounted brackets on the CNC plasma, and then we can just put some strengthening plates on the floor here. So yeah, I think that's the only way to do it, to get the seat where I need the seat to go. So now I'm happy that I've made a decision in my head to what we're going to do. Let's get the grinder back out. Okay, so I've got this panel all trimmed up, folded, ready to be welded in. And as you see, I've cut it to match all the contours of the floor as best as I can. So what we need to do now is we need to start welding this panel in. And for that, we need a new toy. And here it is, a brand new MIG251 Digital MIG Welder from Artec. They've sent me one to take for a spin, and I think all of the welding work that we've got to do in this with a MIG, yes, I do prefer a TIG, but a MIG is going to be more appropriate for this work on here. And of course I say yes, I'd love to take it for a spin. And here we go. Now, the good thing about this welder is that we will do a full in-depth video on this once I've used it a fair bit. But they've got an easy set mode look. This welder packs a load of new features for a MIG welder. I'm not going to go over them in this video because we're going to do a whole in-depth review on the 251 once we've got some hours under our belt. So I'm dead excited to take this for a spin. Now, this took a lot longer than I would like to admit to get done, but this is the second time I've done this. First time, I just wasn't happy with it. I welded most of the top seam, and then I put the car up in the air to check penetration through on the backside, and then I instantly saw that panel wasn't in level with the chassis rails and the rest of the car. It was on a slight angle, and part of me was like, fuck it, no one else is going to see it, only you know it's there. But the second part of me was like, now I've seen it, I've done a shit job, so I cut it all out and started again. And this is the second attempt and the final attempt. So next stage is I'm going to clean up the car, because there's a lot of crap in here from all the grinding discs and bits and bobs. Always important to have a nice cleaning area, and we can actually finally get on with the seat rails. Okay, so one seat in, and I've just spent a couple of minutes just leveling up the laser level, and pretty much dead center in between the two harness eyes there. So you can see we've been able to bring the seat right over, and on this side we are no longer up against the B-pillar. We can actually get our hands between there now. It might be a bit tight up against here, but you see we have got a bit of a gap there, which is good. And obviously we don't want the roll cage touching the seat, which again you can see there, we've got a bit of wiggle room there anyway. But by the time we get the rails welded in, the actual side mounts are adjustable. So once we get the mounts in, obviously we can adjust it forward and backwards as we see fit. Now, most people would have bought a kit to put these seats in. I dare say I am of a larger proportion of a man, so I wanted to make something slightly heavier duty than what you can buy off the shelf. So I'm going to exceed the MSA's minimum specifications. So we're going to go slightly larger on the spreader plates, we're going to go slightly larger on the mount plates, and we're going to go for a slightly thicker wall on the box section. Now I'm using box section rather than tube just because it's easier to work with, and the new regulations are a bit different now. So they require you to drill a hole through the tube in a box section and weld in an insert for the top and the bottom. Now I didn't really like how their regulations specified that you needed them, so I've had these made with an extra large shoulder on the bottom here. You can see that. So obviously we will drill the box section to suit the diameter of the pin, insert it through, and obviously we've got a nice shoulder there so it can't be pulled through the material, and obviously we'll weld it top and bottom and we'll flush it off at the top. So that's simple. I'm going to use the plasma cutter obviously to cut all the profiles that we need for the spreader plates and the mounting plates. So hopefully it won't take me an hour or so to get this job done. So montage. Okay, so that is the second rail in. Went in much nicer than the first one. I'd learned from my mistakes the first one, didn't do that with the second one, so the second rail went in much faster and much nicer as well. Now, before we can mount the seat to the rails, we need to put some inserts into said rails, and I've had these made for me. Now, the way that the regulations specify for the rails is you drill a through hole from the top to the bottom, and then you weld around an insert top to bottom. Now, I've designed these rails for a person of my size, an absolute unit. So what I've had these is I've had these made to exceed specifications with MSA. So we've got a nice large flange shoulder on the bottom, because these are going to be inserted from the bottom in this sort of orientation. And that's going to give us a nice surface area to weld, but also there's a nice little flange on there which is going to prevent this being pulled through the material. That's my thought process anyway. And then they should sit flush with the top of rail, and then we could put a nice sort of TIG weld around the top here to weld it to the upper part of the rail. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Okay, there we go. One seat installed. I think we've done the best with what we've got. We've got plenty of headroom here. There's a good, I don't know, 6-7 inches there of headroom. Got plenty of clearance here between the helmet and the roll bar and the top bar. I can reach all the pedals, although I'm hoping to replace this with a pedal box. But clutch is fine, brakes fine, throttle is perfectly fine. Steering position's lovely. I think we can go that way about 10 mil. But yeah, that steering position feels absolutely bang on. Handbrake, and obviously the gear stick when we install it. Hopefully that gives you an insight of what's involved in fitting the most recent MSA and FII spec seat rails. And yeah, we're one step closer to making some brum brum noises in this car, which is very, very exciting. With that being said, we're going to leave that video here. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Drop a comment down below. Anything you would have done differently, let me know. Any tips, hints, tricks, drop a comment down below. I read every single comment. See you in the next video, which I'm not quite sure what it is yet. Might be a bit of a hint if depending on the framing of this video behind the seat, might be a bit of a hint. Yeah, but yeah, that's it. Video over. Love you, bye. Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, I love you.